This video will cover some of the changes and improvements we've made in EditNC Release 10. As you can see here, the lines are now individually numbered. This is a user option, and there's a new tool change indicator to the left of lines containing a tool change. There are new syntax coloring and highlighting options. We can go to the Editor Options, Appearance tab, indicate that we want comments to be italicized, sequence numbers in a different color. We'll pick aqua. We could take our T words, our tool numbers, make them bold. Notice that the comments are now italicized, T words are bold, and the sequence numbers are in aqua. We've changed how we do tab handling with this release. Now when you hit the tab key, it will either enter a specific number of spaces or a tab character. This is controlled by the Editor Options dialog. Down here right now it's set to insert 10 spaces every time we hit the tab key. So this will, actually it's every 10 columns we'll have a tab, or we'll space out to those columns. If we come back and we change that to insert a tab character, and we have show tab characters set here, if we go down to this line and now hit the tab key, we space out to every 10th column, and you can see the tab character indicated here. The number of columns that we space out was indicated on the options screen. We also had drag and drop editing set. This is also new. This is a user option if you want to use it. And we'll look at that. That simply means you can select a let's go to a boundary here, and we can just carry that where we want and drag and drop. And one other thing I'll mention here while we're looking at the editor options screen is we now have the ability to prohibit multiple user write access. And this works across a network as well as on a single computer. This means if a user on the network has a particular file open, and if this option is set, then that file is locked from updates by any other users until that first user makes their changes and closes or saves the file. Now, one new feature that I particularly like is the ability to undo changes based on operations rather than individual lines. For example, if we were to go in now and make a global change to this CNC program, we'll add 11.5 to all of the X addresses, all of the X words. So we've made that change. We've made substantial changes to this program. If we decide we really didn't mean to do that, then we can undo that entire operation in one step. And in fact, if we go back, I'm hitting Control-Z on the keyboard, we can undo all the changes that we made to this file very quickly. And that includes the drag and drop changes we made down at the bottom. And finally, the last new feature that we'll look at under general editing capabilities is the ability to select columns. By holding down the Alt key, you can select columns rather than lines or pieces of lines, and make changes based on columns. And now let's move on and take a look at some of the new search capabilities, including saved searches and regular searches. Now we've added two things to the search dialog. One is the ability to use regular expressions in the search. This is a fairly powerful capability that lets you do things like search for, in this case we'll look for any lines with a G2 or a G3. We indicate that that's a regular expression, and we'll find any line with either a G2 or a G3, or we can go in and show all of them. So this is showing all the blocks in the program with either of those items. Here I'll call up a post-processor listing, and we'll search this using a saved search, which we've named post-processor warnings. In this case, a warning is indicated by either the word warning, asterisk, warning, asterisk, or a plus sign with 3 blanks would also show us some information that we'd be interested in. We can do a show all, and we've scanned this post-processor listing for any lines meeting this search argument, which is either warning or the plus with the blanks following, and then we can quickly locate those within the listing. And saved searches, you simply specify the search that you want in here, go to Save Search, go to this menu that allows you to give it a name, and we can also change the sequence of this, the sequence that it appears in the list. Now we'll look at a new item on the Action menu. Call up our original program we were working with before. Just for illustration purposes, I'll put in a few tab characters here and there. And we go to Action and Program Format. This is a new dialog. It adds some new function, and it replaces several dialogues that we had on prior releases. We've always had the ability to insert and remove spaces and comments and end of block characters. To this we've added a convert to uppercase function, which takes an existing program. If there are any lowercase characters in there, it'll convert them to uppercase. And one to remove special characters. This would remove nulls, control characters that might have been inserted by an upload from a DNC system, and various other special characters, including tabs. In this case we have them all checked, so we're going to remove nulls, the control characters at the bottom end of the ASCII range, such as not including carriage return line feed, certainly not including tabs because there's a separate item for that, and then those characters that are in the higher ranges. And that's the new CNC program formatting dialog. We've added some new options for printing. One is the ability to print specific pages. We can print, for example, rather than printing everything, I can say print pages 1, 3, and 5 through 9. And if we do a print preview, we'll see that it printed 7 pages. We can jump around now, which we couldn't before in the print preview, so we can go look, for example, at the very last page, which was page 9. That's what we requested. In addition, we can also specify that we want to start a new print page whenever there's a tool change or whenever there's a program number change. We've enhanced a couple of the edit menu items. One has to do with block delete characters. We could go in, for example, and select the entire tool range for this particular tool, go to block skips and say insert block skip or block delete characters for that entire tool range. And then if we want to remove them, we can go in and just select a general area and say remove any block skips within that area. Now let's look at some of the new DNC changes. First of all, we've made changes to the machine list maintenance dialog, made it, I think, a little bit easier to use, added some features, for example, the ability to copy an existing configuration. We have tool machines defined, a tool room lathe and a tool room VMC. If we have a new machine to add and it's similar to one of these, we can select that, copy it, give it a name, and then if we want, we change the sequence on the list and go ahead and take a look at the communications parameters for this machine. We'll look at the new one that we just added, which will be the same as the one it was copied from. We've improved some of the explanations here for the various control characters. We made it easier to make entries and to remove entries. The actual sending looks very much as it did before. We've updated some of the graphics over here. If we had a machine that was issuing X-offs or stopping us, was introducing delays, we would get an indication of that in the picture here. And apart from that, DNC remains, I think, much as it was. The parameters for the machines, by the way, are no longer stored in the Windows registry. We store them in an application directory. This way, if you want to copy the DNC parameters from one computer to another, that should be easier, and you can contact us to get the exact location and format of that information if you'd like, if your dealer can't provide it. That covers, I believe, Release 10. There are a number of other changes we haven't shown because they're difficult to show. G-macro has changed slightly. We now have some persistent variables. We've improved the compare function, especially for hide and hind programs, made some minor interface improvements in the back plotter, and gone to a new development environment. We've moved to a much more modern compiler, more modern tools, which should help us improve EditNC in the future. Finally, we have new licensing policies with Release 10, allowing up to 3 installs per user. So if you want an editor on a computer in your office, on a laptop computer, out in the shop, 1 license is all you need. Thanks for watching our Release 10 update.